Okay, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to talk you through how you can potentially get another 10 yards carry on all of your irons. So some simple stuff, some slightly less simple, but it should all have a huge impact on how you can hit it. Okay, so tip number one is probably the bit that's going to give you the most impact on your yardage. Good iron players will tend to de-loft their irons at strike as opposed to add loft to it. If you're trying to get your flight down, if it's high and spinny, the angle of attack will only really dictate 25% of your ball's launch angle. The loft of the face at strike will dictate 75% of that. So basically, if you're getting into strike and you are delivering the club head or casting the club head, so the head gets there before the handle, it's very, very likely you're not actually hitting an 8-iron or whatever you're using. Dynamically at strike, you're turning it into a 9-iron. So instead, a really easy drill is to take your hand like this, not your normal grip, place it on the side of the club and try to rehearse some movements where you deliver your impact feeling from your setup. And it will feel as if you're just applying a little bit of pressure on the handle to take loft off of that iron. You might find that this feels comfortable, 8-iron being turned into a 9-iron, whereas this will feel as if you're trying to keep the flight lower. It's a lot like water coming out of a hose pipe. If we launch it too high, it falls short. Launch it too low, it comes short. Find the optimum launch to get the ball to travel the furthest. And it should feel fairly strong off the club face and as if the low point's quite far left. It should give you some nice easy yardage. So tip number two is use the ground effectively. There's a few different ways you can use the floor. You've got lateral forces, which move us from side to side. You've got rotational forces, which are toe-heel forces. The important one for club head speed is a vertical force. There's a big correlation between how high someone can box jump in the gym to how much energy they can get into the club head. The sensation for this is as we start our transition and as we go from the top of the backswing into our downswing, we want to feel a slight lowering of the pelvis. If we can lower our mass, our pelvis, down into the floor, it gives us a greater potential to push out of the floor. If you try to stay tall with straight legs and jump, you wouldn't be able to jump very high or create much energy. If I told you to squat and then jump, you can see the increase in energy, which eventually, if the rest of the system is working very well, we can get into the head and get into the shaft of the club, giving us an increase in club head speed. Tip number three is to try and have good sequencing. You might find there's that player you know who is very light, maybe smaller in build, but somehow they get a ton of club head speed, and it's often because they are sequencing their body very, very well. The best thing I can say, or the best piece of advice I can give you, is that it's almost like you're throwing a ball or throwing a punch or a javelin, and people often lose sequencing because they do the throwing before they've loaded up any kind of energy through their body. So you wouldn't throw a ball like throw, turn, which is how a lot of people swing their golf club. They get to the top and then they go swing the club and then they turn after. But you're missing out on all that potential energy you can build up by stretching your muscles properly. So generally, what that's going to look like is as you're approaching the top of the backswing, you're already going to start moving your lower half to counter-rotate the swing of the golf club. A lot of people get to the top, they pause, and then they start with their arms. But the downswing actually starts as the club is still reaching the top of the backswing. So it should hopefully, with a little bit of luck and practice, look something like this. Create the stretch, and it'll be the last piece in the puzzle to hit in the ball at 10 yards further.